What if objects that shouldn't exist were found exactly where they couldn't possibly be? Picture a smartphone-like device in a tomb sealed before electricity was invented. A precision gear mechanism thousands of years too advanced for its time. Modern materials in ancient layers of rock. The official story says these things are impossible. Misidentified objects, natural formations, hoaxes by attention seekers. But documentation tells a different story. Authenticated finds that were quietly removed from public view. Scientific analysis that was suddenly classified. Archaeologists who made discoveries and then went silent. These aren't myths or legends. These are documented cases with paper trails, witness testimony, photographic evidence that was seized and buried. Today, we're examining 10 objects that challenge everything we've been taught about human history. Objects found in places they shouldn't be, made from materials that didn't exist yet, displaying technology that hadn't been invented. Each case follows the same pattern: discovery, documentation, suppression. The evidence has been hidden in classified archives, locked away in storage facilities that don't officially exist, removed from museum collections without explanation. Fair warning: what you're about to see contradicts the accepted timeline of human civilization. The experts who tried to publish their findings had their careers destroyed. The institutions that tried to display these objects lost their funding. But the evidence exists. The paper trail can be traced. The pattern is unmistakable. 10 cases, 10 impossible objects, 10 instances where reality doesn't match the official narrative. The question isn't whether these discoveries are real. The documentation proves they are. The question is why they've been systematically erased from public knowledge. Number 1 takes us to the Ural Mountains of Russia, where something was found that shouldn't exist for another 6,000 years. The year was 1991. Soviet geologists were conducting surveys for gold deposits. Standard work, routine drilling. Nothing unusual expected. At a depth of 40 feet, their equipment hit something. Not rock, not mineral deposits. Something manufactured. The objects were tiny, some barely visible to the naked eye. Spirals and coils, perfectly formed, incredibly precise. They looked like modern microchip components. Springs and connectors, manufactured with precision engineering. Here's the problem. They were made of tungsten and molybdenum, metals that require extreme temperatures to work with, technology the ancient world didn't possess. The geologists brought them to the Moscow Institute of Technology. Materials analysis was conducted. The results were startling. The objects tested between 20,000 and 318,000 years old, long before human civilization as we understand it. But the precision was impossible for that era. These weren't crude tools. They were manufactured components. Some measured less than 1/100th of an inch. Under electron microscopy, the detail became clearer. Perfect spirals, uniform thickness, machine surfaces. To create these objects requires technology we've only had for decades. Computer-controlled manufacturing, precision tools, advanced metallurgy. Dr. E.W. Matveyeva led the research team. Her analysis was thorough. Multiple testing methods, independent verification. She documented everything. Photographs, measurements, material composition. Then something changed. The research was classified. Publication blocked. Dr. Matveyeva stopped speaking publicly about the findings. The objects were transferred to a secure facility. Access restricted. Further study forbidden. Official position: natural formations. Mineral deposits that coincidentally look manufactured. But mineral deposits don't form perfect spirals. They don't create uniform coils. They don't match modern engineering specifications. 3 other research teams attempted independent analysis. All were denied access to the objects. All had their funding cut. The specimens still exist, locked away, classified as sensitive materials. Similar objects have been found at over 12 sites in the region. Each discovery follows the same pattern: documentation, classification, silence. What does this mean? Either ancient humans had technology we can't explain, or someone else did. That evidence threatens the entire timeline of human development. So it was buried, careers ended, questions forbidden. But number 2 gets even stranger. What was discovered in Egypt defied every law of physics we understand. Number 2 involves a discovery that was immediately seized by military intelligence. An object that shouldn't exist in any time period. Cairo, Egypt, February of 1974. An excavation team working near Saqqara made an unprecedented find. The team leader was Dr. Hassan Khalil, a respected Egyptologist from Cairo University, 20 years of experience, impeccable credentials. They were examining a sealed tomb, 4th dynasty, approximately 2500 BCE. Inside, among typical burial goods, they found something extraordinary. A perfectly polished sphere, about 8 inches in diameter. The sphere appeared to be made of crystal, but not any crystal they recognized. It was completely transparent, flawless clarity. When they shone a light through it, something impossible happened. The light didn't just pass through, it was amplified. The beam emerged stronger than it entered. That's not how crystals work. That's not how anything works without an external power source. Dr. Khalil was cautious. He documented everything. Photographs from multiple angles, detailed measurements, witness statements. The sphere was taken to the university laboratory. Multiple tests were conducted: spectroscopy, crystallography, X-ray analysis. The results made no sense. The material wasn't natural crystal. It wasn't glass. It appeared to be a synthetic compound. But synthetic materials didn't exist in ancient Egypt. The technology wouldn't be developed for thousands of years. Then things got interesting. When the sphere was exposed to temperature changes, it emitted a faint humming sound, barely audible, but measurable. The frequency was recorded, analyzed. It matched patterns used in modern laser technology. Within 72 hours of that discovery, representatives arrived. Not from the university, not from the Egyptian government. 2 American officials. No names provided. Credentials from the Pentagon. They had authorization to seize the sphere. Immediate transfer. No discussion. Dr. Khalil protested. The sphere belonged to Egypt. It was a national treasure. Historical significance. The officials were polite but firm. National security concerns. Classified technology. End of conversation. The sphere was removed. All documentation confiscated. Lab results seized. Photographs taken. Dr. Khalil tried to protest officially. His complaints went nowhere. Every channel he pursued hit a dead end. Within 6 months, his position at the university was eliminated. Budget cuts, they said. His excavation permits were revoked. He attempted to publish his findings. Every journal rejected the paper. Too controversial. Insufficient evidence. Unverifiable claims. The sphere? Transported to Nevada. Stored at a facility that officially doesn't exist. Still classified 50 years later. 4 other team members tried to speak about the discovery. 3 lost their positions. 1 disappeared for 6 months. When he returned, he refused to discuss what happened. The official excavation report makes no mention of the sphere. The tomb inventory lists standard burial items only. But photographs exist. Copies that Dr. Khalil kept hidden. Measurements recorded in private notes. Witness testimony from multiple sources. Something was found that challenges our understanding of ancient technology, and powerful interests made sure it vanished from public knowledge. Number 3 takes us underwater, where divers found structures that weren't supposed to exist. Number 3 involves precision engineering discovered on the ocean floor, technology that predates recorded history by thousands of years. The location is off the coast of Yonaguni, Japan. The year was 1986. A local dive instructor made an unexpected discovery. Kihachiro Aratake was exploring new dive sites. Routine survey work. Nothing unusual anticipated. At a depth of 80 feet, he found massive stone structures. Not natural formations. Carved steps. Straight edges. Right angles. The structures were enormous. Platforms. Terraces. what appeared to be roads, all precisely cut from solid bedrock. Dr. Masaaki Kimura, a marine geologist from the University of the Ryukyus, led the investigation. He spent 15 years studying the site. The structures displayed clear evidence of tool marks, carved channels, drainage systems, architectural planning. Here's what makes this impossible. The structures were submerged when sea levels rose at the end of the last ice age. That means they were built at least 10,000 years ago. But according to accepted history, complex architecture didn't exist 10,000 years ago. Humans were hunter-gatherers, Stone Age, no cities, no engineering. Yet these structures showed sophisticated understanding of geometry, symmetry, structural engineering. Dr. Kimura documented everything. Thousands of photographs, detailed measurements, three-dimensional mapping. He found what appeared to be carved faces, symbols, writing that didn't match any known language. One structure particularly stood out. A pyramid-shaped formation, 5 layers, each layer perfectly aligned. The precision was remarkable. The angles weren't random. They matched mathematical constants, proportions found in advanced architecture worldwide. Dr. Kimura published his findings, presented at international conferences, called for official recognition of the site. The response was immediate dismissal. Mainstream archaeologists refused to examine the evidence, called it natural erosion, coincidental formations. But erosion doesn't create straight edges. It doesn't carve staircases. It doesn't produce right angles and symmetrical designs. Dr. Kimura invited skeptics to dive and examine the site personally. Most refused. Those who did saw the evidence but maintained their position. Natural formations, nothing more. Funding for research dried up. Permits for excavation were denied. The site was declared off-limits for further archaeological study. Official position: interesting geology, not man-made. Case closed. But the evidence remains. Video documentation, sonar mapping, expert analysis from multiple disciplines. What's being hidden? Evidence that advanced civilization existed thousands of years before the accepted timeline. That evidence threatens the entire foundation of archaeological theory. It suggests human history is far older and more complex than we've been told. So, it's dismissed, ignored, removed from serious academic consideration. Number 4 takes us to a sealed cave in Idaho, where photographs captured something that shouldn't be possible. Number 4 involves photographic evidence that was confiscated by federal agents within hours of its discovery. Spring of 1998. Amateur spelunkers exploring caves in southern Idaho. Remote location, little known, rarely visited. The group leader was Mark Stevenson, experienced cave explorer, thorough documentation habits, always brought cameras. They discovered a sealed passage. No signs of previous entry. The seal appeared ancient. Mineral deposits suggested thousands of years. They carefully breached the entrance. Standard procedure: minimal disturbance. Inside, the cave walls displayed unusual markings, not natural patterns, deliberate symbols, organized in rows. But that wasn't the strangest part. Embedded in the rock face was what appeared to be metal plating, smooth, uniform, clearly manufactured. Mark photographed everything: close-ups of the symbols, wide shots of the chamber, detailed images of the metal surface. They took samples, small pieces that had broken free naturally, careful not to damage the site. The metal was analyzed at a private laboratory. The results were startling. The composition didn't match any known alloy from that period. It contained trace elements that suggested modern manufacturing, but it was embedded in rock layers dated to 12,000 years old. The group prepared to contact the State Archaeological Office, standard procedure for significant discoveries. Before they could, they received visitors, federal agents, U.S. Marshal Service, accompanied by individuals with no identification. The agents had a warrant, not a search warrant, a seizure order, classified materials, national security. All photographs were confiscated. All samples taken. All documentation removed. The cave entrance was sealed with concrete, covered with debris, made to look like a natural collapse. Mark and his team were debriefed. Separately, intensively. They were informed that discussing the discovery would violate federal law. Consequences were made clear. Criminal charges, prosecution, years in federal prison. They were required to sign non-disclosure agreements. Classified. Duration. Permanent. Mark tried to contact the lawyer. Every attorney he approached declined to take the case. Too sensitive. Too risky. National security implications. One team member attempted to speak to a journalist. The story never ran. The journalist's editor killed it. Too controversial. Unverifiable. Within a year, Mark lost his security contracting job. Unrelated issues. Officially. Coincidental timing. The cave? Still sealed. The location removed from geological survey maps. Access to the area restricted. No official explanation was ever provided. No public record of the discovery exists. But people remember. The team members know what they saw. The photographs existed before they were seized. Something was found in that cave that powerful interests wanted buried. Technology in rock layers that predate modern civilization by millennia. Evidence that suggests either our timeline is wrong or someone else was here long before us. That evidence couldn't be allowed to reach public knowledge, so it was erased. Witnesses silenced. Physical proof removed. Number 5 involves metallic fragments recovered from ancient coal deposits. Material that couldn't possibly exist where it was found. Number 5 takes us to coal mines in Pennsylvania, where workers found manufactured objects embedded in coal formed 300 million years ago. The incident spans several decades. Multiple independent discoveries, different mines, consistent pattern. The first documented case was 1944, a mine near Wilkes-Barre. Standard operations, routine coal extraction. A worker named James Barnett broke open a large coal chunk. Inside was a metal object. Looked like a small gear, precisely tooled, perfect teeth. Coal forms from compressed organic matter, trees, plants, material from millions of years ago. Nothing manufactured should be inside it. Barnett showed the object to his supervisor. The supervisor contacted the mining company's office. They sent a geologist. The geologist examined the coal surrounding the object. Authentic anthracite coal. No signs of tampering. The object was genuinely embedded. Material analysis showed it was brass, an alloy of copper and zinc, created through metallurgical processes. But brass wasn't invented until around 500 BCE. This coal was 300 million years old. The object was photographed, documented, sent to the Smithsonian Institution for analysis. The Smithsonian's official response: no record of receiving any such object. No analysis conducted. No documentation found. Barnett kept copies of his photographs, showed them to family, told the story repeatedly. Years later, he tried to publish an account. Every publication rejected it. Too fantastic. Unbelievable. Lacking physical evidence. But that wasn't an isolated incident. Similar discoveries occurred repeatedly. 1961. Another Pennsylvania mine. A worker found a metal bell inside a chunk of coal. Victorian-style design. Made of bronze. The bell was shown to multiple witnesses. Photographed. The miner kept it as a curiosity. When he attempted to have it officially authenticated, he was contacted by representatives from a federal agency. They requested he surrender the object for analysis. He agreed, provided the bell, was promised analysis, results, and return of the item. He never saw it again. No analysis was ever provided. Follow-up inquiries went unanswered. 1973. Oklahoma. A different coal deposit. Workers found what appeared to be a metal pot, intact, with ornate handle. The surrounding coal was tested. Approximately 312 million years old. The pot was made of iron, clearly manufactured, not a natural formation. Local news covered the story. A reporter photographed the object. The story ran in the county newspaper. Within days, individuals arrived, claiming to represent the Oklahoma Historical Society. They wanted to examine the pot for potential display. The pot was handed over, never returned. The Historical Society claimed no record of the transaction. These incidents aren't legends. They're documented. Witness testimony, photographs, multiple independent cases. Each time, the pattern repeats. Discovery, documentation, confiscation, silence. The implications are staggering. Either manufactured objects somehow ended up in coal deposits millions of years old, or our understanding of geological dating is fundamentally wrong. Both possibilities challenge established science. Both threaten academic consensus. So the evidence is removed, witnesses discredited, documentation lost. But the pattern is clear. Objects that shouldn't exist keep appearing where they can't possibly be. Number 6 involves a discovery in the Grand Canyon. Evidence of ancient civilization that was immediately classified and sealed. Number 6 centers on an expedition that was erased from official records. A discovery so significant it was buried by the Smithsonian Institution itself. April of 1909. Arizona. The Grand Canyon. An expedition led by Professor S.A. Jordan. The team was reportedly sponsored by the Smithsonian. Purpose: Archaeological survey. Document indigenous history. But what they found wasn't indigenous American artifacts. It was something far older, far more advanced. According to contemporary newspaper accounts, they discovered an underground complex carved deep into the canyon walls. The entrance was located high above the Colorado River, accessible only by climbing. Hidden from casual view, inside, they found chambers, corridors, rooms carved with precision. The scale was massive, capable of housing thousands. The architecture wasn't Native American. It wasn't European. It matched styles from ancient Egypt and Tibet. They found artifacts, statues, tablets with hieroglyphics, weapons made of copper, granaries, storage facilities. One chamber reportedly contained mummies, preserved bodies arranged in systematic order. The preservation technique was sophisticated. Professor Jordan documented everything: photographs, sketches, detailed notes. He sent regular updates to the Smithsonian. The discovery was reported in the Arizona Gazette, April 5, 1909. Front page story. Detailed description. The article described a civilization that had occupied the Grand Canyon thousands of years ago, far more advanced than previously believed possible. Then something happened. The story disappeared. No follow-up articles, no further reports. Professor Jordan vanished from historical records. No subsequent mentions in academic journals. No published papers. Attempts to locate the site based on the newspaper description have failed. The landmarks mentioned don't match current geography. The Smithsonian Institution claims no record of the expedition. No Professor Jordan in their employment history. No artifacts received. The original newspaper article still exists. Multiple copies. The description is detailed, specific. But everything else vanished. No photographs survived. No artifacts surfaced. No official records exist. Modern researchers have tried to locate the site. Using the newspaper article as a guide, every attempt hits dead ends. The coordinates don't align. The cave entrance can't be found. Access to certain areas is restricted. Some researchers believe the entrance was deliberately sealed, covered, made to look like natural rock. Why would the Smithsonian erase evidence of a major archaeological discovery? Why deny the expedition ever happened? One possibility: the discovery contradicted accepted history, evidence of advanced civilization in North America thousands of years before. Expected evidence of cultural influence from Egypt or Asia, long before the Bering Strait migration theory allows. That evidence threatened the entire narrative of how the Americas were populated. When? By whom? So it was buried. Records destroyed. Evidence removed. The pattern is consistent. When discoveries challenge established narratives, they disappear. Number 7 takes us to Romania. where an artifact was found that contained aluminum before aluminum was invented. Number 7 involves an object that defies metallurgical history, found in sediment layers that date back before recorded civilization. The year was 1973. Construction work along the Mureș River in Romania. Workers were excavating for a factory foundation. At a depth of 33 feet, buried in sand deposits, they found 3 objects. 2 were prehistoric animal bones, mastodon fossils. The third object was different. It was manufactured, metallic, shaped like a tool or mechanical component. The object was approximately 8 inches long, wedge-shaped, with 2 precisely drilled holes, clearly machined. The surface showed tool marks, evidence of manufacturing, not naturally formed. The objects were sent to the Archaeological Institute in Cluj-Napoca for analysis. Standard procedure for unusual finds. The mastodon bones were easily dated, between 80,000 and 11,000 years old. The metal object was more problematic. Initial analysis showed it was aluminum, 90% pure. Here's the problem. Aluminum wasn't isolated as a metal until 1825. Industrial production didn't begin until the 1880s. Yet this object was found in geological layers dating back at least 11,000 years, possibly much older. The object was sent to multiple laboratories. Each reached the same conclusion: aluminum alloy. Specifically, aluminum with traces of copper, silicon, zinc, and lead. That specific alloy combination didn't exist in nature. It required deliberate manufacturing, controlled smelting, precise metallurgy. Dr. Florin Gheorghita conducted the primary analysis. His report was detailed: measurements, composition, age assessment. He concluded the object was manufactured using technology that didn't exist when it was supposedly created. The implications were significant. Either the dating was wrong, or the object came from an advanced civilization we know nothing about. The object was photographed extensively, documented, displayed briefly at the Museum of Transylvanian History. Then it was moved to storage, classified as origin undetermined, removed from public display. Dr. Gheorghita attempted to publish his findings. His paper was rejected by mainstream journals. Too controversial. Insufficient explanation. Alternative theories were proposed. Perhaps it was a recent object that accidentally fell into older sediment. Perhaps the dating was contaminated. But those explanations don't account for the condition of the object. It showed oxidation consistent with extreme age. The patina matched objects thousands of years old. It was found at the same depth as mastodon bones, in undisturbed sediment layers. No evidence of intrusion. The object still exists, stored at the museum. Access is restricted. Few researchers have been allowed to examine it. When pressed, officials acknowledge the object's existence but claim uncertainty about its origin. They call it an anomaly, nothing more. But the analysis is clear. The documentation exists. The object is real. Manufactured aluminum in geological layers dating back before aluminum technology existed. Either our understanding of metallurgical history is incomplete, or someone had advanced technology long before we thought possible. That evidence threatens accepted timelines, so it's downplayed, hidden, classified as unexplained and forgotten. Number 8 involves machinery found underground in Russia, components that match modern mechanical engineering thousands of years too early. Number 8 takes us to Siberia, where drilling operations uncovered manufactured components at depths that suggest impossible age. The year was 2013. The Inalchek region of Kamchatka. Remote location, harsh conditions, standard geological surveys. A drilling team was extracting core samples, routine analysis for mineral deposits. Nothing unusual anticipated. At a depth of 400 meters, the drill brought up something unexpected. Metal fragments, cylindrical shapes, uniform sizing. The fragments appeared to be parts of a mechanical system, gears, shafts, components designed to fit together. The material was identified as a chromium-nickel alloy, stainless steel, a modern material requiring precise metallurgy. But the geological layer dated to 400 million years ago, long before humans, before dinosaurs, before any complex life on land. The drilling team photographed everything, collected samples, sent them for analysis at multiple laboratories. Independent verification confirmed the material composition. Modern metallic alloys, deliberately manufactured. The shapes weren't natural formations. The symmetry was too perfect. The threading matched mechanical engineering specifications. One fragment clearly showed gear teeth, uniform spacing, precise angles, designed for rotational mechanics. Dr. Yuri Golubev, a metallurgist from Moscow, conducted detailed analysis. His findings were documented, published in specialized journals. His conclusion: manufactured components, created with technology equivalent to modern industrial processes. The age versus the technology created an impossible contradiction. These materials shouldn't exist in rock layers from the Paleozoic era. Dr. Golubev proposed several hypotheses. Perhaps the dating methods were flawed. Perhaps the samples were contaminated during drilling. But multiple independent tests reached the same conclusion. The geological context was clear. The depth was precise. The samples were sent to international laboratories for verification. Each confirmed the same impossible combination: modern materials in ancient rock. When Dr. Golubev attempted to present his findings at an international conference, his invitation was mysteriously withdrawn. Scheduled conflicts, they claimed. His funding for further research was not renewed. Budget constraints, officially. Timing seemed convenient. Other researchers who tried to examine the samples were denied access. The specimens were reclassified. Sensitive materials, restricted study. The original drilling site was declared off-limits. No further extraction permitted. The area designated for environmental protection. Attempts to return for additional core samples were blocked. Permits denied. Authorization unavailable. The fragments still exist, locked in storage facilities, occasionally mentioned in obscure journals, otherwise forgotten. What's the official explanation? None provided. The samples are acknowledged but not explained. The implication is clear. Either these components are incredibly ancient evidence of previous technological civilization, or our geological dating methods are fundamentally flawed. Both possibilities challenge established science. Both threaten academic consensus. So the evidence is locked away, access restricted, discussion discouraged. Number 9 involves a discovery in Turkey, where satellite imaging revealed something that shouldn't be on that mountain. Number 9 centers on Mount Ararat in eastern Turkey, where military reconnaissance photographed a structure that matched ancient descriptions. The year was 1949. U.S. Air Force reconnaissance missions over Soviet borders. Routine surveillance during Cold War tensions. A pilot photographed something unusual on Mount Ararat. A large structure, partially buried in ice and rock, visible from the air. The structure was boat-shaped, approximately 500 feet long, located at an elevation of 15,000 feet. The photographs were analyzed by intelligence officers. Initial assessment: possibly an ancient shipwreck. Preservation due to high altitude and ice. Interest increased when the dimensions were calculated. The structure matched the biblical description of Noah's Ark, almost exactly. The photographs were classified, marked sensitive, limited distribution. In 1959, Turkish military conducted an aerial survey. They photographed the same location, confirmed the structure's existence. The Turkish government announced the discovery, called it a potential archaeological site, possibly the remains of an ancient vessel. An expedition was organized. Scientists from multiple countries. Purpose: examine the structure up close. The team reached the site in 1960. The structure was clearly visible, buried partially in volcanic ash and ice. Ground-penetrating radar revealed internal structure, compartments, regular spacing, consistent with a large vessel's construction. Wood samples were collected from exposed sections. Carbon dating placed them at approximately 4,800 years old. The dimensions matched ancient cubit measurements. The shape suggested deliberate construction, not a natural formation. Dr. Ron Wyatt, an archaeologist, conducted multiple expeditions to the site. He documented everything: measurements, photographs, radar data. His findings suggested the structure was indeed a massive ancient vessel, preserved by unique geological conditions. Metal detector surveys found concentrations of metal at regular intervals, consistent with structural reinforcement, nails or brackets. Samples of the metal were analyzed. Composition matched ancient metallurgy, iron and bronze alloys. But mainstream archaeology rejected the findings, called it a natural rock formation, coincidental shape. Geologists claimed it was a result of volcanic activity, natural processes creating boat-like appearance. But natural processes don't create regular compartments. They don't produce symmetrical dimensions. They don't match ancient measurements precisely. Dr. Wyatt attempted to publish in academic journals. Every submission was rejected. Too sensational. Lacks rigorous proof. Turkish authorities initially supported the research. They designated the site as an archaeological park. Then something changed. Access to the site was restricted. Further excavation forbidden. The area declared off-limits. Official position shifted. No longer promoted as a potential ark site. Now described as geological formation. Interest discouraged. Satellite imagery still shows the structure, clear and visible. The boat shape is undeniable. But attempts to conduct new research are blocked. Permits denied. Authorization unavailable. Why would authorities initially embrace the discovery, then suppress further investigation? One possibility: the implications were too significant. Physical evidence matching ancient accounts threatens modern skepticism. If the structure is indeed an ancient vessel at that altitude, it suggests catastrophic flooding. Evidence of biblical accounts being literal history. That evidence challenges secular narratives, questions modern assumptions, threatens established worldviews. So access is restricted, research discouraged. The structure remains photographed but unexplained. Number 10 takes us to Antarctica, where satellite imaging detected something buried beneath miles of ice. Something that shouldn't be there. Number 10 involves the most heavily classified discovery on this list. Evidence of structures beneath Antarctic ice that suggest previous habitation. The discovery occurred through satellite imaging, multiple programs, different agencies, data cross-referenced. Ground-penetrating radar detected anomalies, regular patterns, geometric shapes, too precise to be natural formations. The location was beneath 2 miles of ice, in an area that's been frozen for millions of years. Nothing should be down there except rock. But the radar signatures showed otherwise. Structures, large scale, organized layout, consistent with architectural planning. The data was analyzed by geophysical experts. Their conclusion: artificial structures, created through deliberate construction. Further analysis revealed multiple separate formations, pyramid-shaped objects, linear structures, what appeared to be a complex or settlement. The discovery was classified immediately. All data marked top secret. Distribution restricted to select personnel. But information leaked. Scientists involved spoke quietly to trusted colleagues. Satellite images were copied before classification. The dimensions of some structures were calculated. Massive. Some exceeded modern skyscrapers in size. The precision of the formations ruled out natural explanation. The symmetry, the alignment, the organized layout. One formation appeared to be a pyramid. 4 sides, precise angles, matched proportions found in Egyptian and Central American pyramids. Dr. Charles Hapgood's theory of crustal displacement became relevant. The theory suggests Antarctica wasn't always at the South Pole. If the continent was once in a temperate zone, human habitation would be possible. Civilization could have thrived there. Ancient maps, like the Piri Reis map from 1513, show Antarctica without ice. Detailed coastline features, accurate geography. Those maps suggest Antarctica was mapped before the ice, when it was habitable, thousands of years ago. The structures beneath the ice would support that theory. Evidence of civilization during a time Antarctica was ice-free. But that timeline contradicts accepted history, challenges geological understanding, threatens establishment narratives. So the data remains classified. The site is off-limits. Antarctica treaty restrictions prevent unauthorized exploration. Scientific expeditions to the region are carefully controlled. Approved research only. Restricted areas enforced. Multiple countries have established permanent bases near the anomalous zones. Military presence. Year-round occupation. Official explanation. Scientific research. Climate study. Wildlife observation. But the level of security seems excessive for simple research. The restriction of information unusual for scientific discovery. When pressed, officials acknowledge satellite data exists, but claim it shows geological formations only. Nothing artificial, nothing significant. Yet the patterns remain. The precision undeniable. The structures clearly visible in radar imaging. Several researchers have attempted to organize independent expeditions. Every attempt has been blocked, permits denied, authorization refused. The Antarctic Treaty prevents claims of territorial sovereignty, but certain areas are clearly controlled, access prevented. What's being protected? What's hidden beneath 2 miles of ice? Evidence of previous civilization? Advanced culture that existed before the Ice Age? Technology that predates accepted history? The implications would be revolutionary. They would rewrite human history, challenge everything we think we know about our past. So the evidence remains buried, literally and figuratively. The structures stay frozen, the data stays classified, but the patterns can't be hidden forever. Satellite technology improves. More researchers ask questions. More evidence emerges. The truth is down there, beneath the ice, waiting. 10 cases, 10 objects that challenge accepted reality, 10 instances where evidence was hidden, suppressed, or explained away. From micromachinery in rock layers millions of years old, to massive structures beneath Antarctic ice, from precision artifacts in ancient tombs, to manufactured components in coal deposits, the pattern is undeniable. When discoveries contradict established timelines, they disappear. When evidence threatens accepted narratives, it's classified. Consider the aluminum artifact from Romania. Modern metallurgy and sediment layers predating recorded history. Physical evidence that can't be disputed, yet relegated to storage and forgotten. Or the structures beneath Antarctica. Geometric precision detected by multiple satellite systems. Data classified. Access forbidden. Questions discouraged. These aren't isolated incidents. This is systematic suppression. Whenever physical evidence challenges what we've been taught, powerful institutions intervene. Museums lose artifacts. Researchers lose funding. Documentation vanishes. Witnesses are silenced. Who benefits from keeping this information hidden? Institutions whose authority depends on maintaining current narratives. Organizations built on accepted timelines. Establishments threatened by evidence of previous advanced civilizations. Because if humanity possessed advanced technology before recorded history, it raises questions. Questions about what was lost, what was forgotten, what was deliberately erased. The evidence exists in classified archives, hidden in restricted storage facilities, locked away from public examination. But documentation leaked. Photographs were copied. Researchers spoke to trusted colleagues. The pattern emerged. Once you see it, it's everywhere. Objects that shouldn't exist. Technology that arrived too early. Precision that predates known capabilities. The question isn't whether these discoveries are real. Multiple independent witnesses confirm them. Documentation exists. Analysis was conducted. The question is why truth is treated as threat. Why evidence requires classification. Why careers are destroyed for asking questions. This isn't about conspiracy. This is about control. Control of information. Control of historical narrative. control of what people are allowed to know. Ancient civilizations were more advanced than we're told. Previous cultures possessed technology we can't explain. Human history extends far beyond accepted timelines. That evidence exists. Despite suppression, despite classification, despite systematic removal from public knowledge, the truth emerges slowly, piece by piece, leak by leak, researcher by researcher. Every classified document eventually declassifies. Every hidden artifact eventually surfaces. Every suppressed truth eventually finds light. The evidence has been presented, the pattern revealed. What you believe is your decision. But remember, they count on people not asking questions. They rely on public trust in official narratives. They depend on evidence staying buried. Stay curious. Question everything. Demand evidence. Think independently. Because when powerful institutions work this hard to hide information, that information is worth finding. The truth is out there. Hidden but documented. Suppressed but recoverable. Classified but real. These 10 cases prove it. The impossible exists. The unexplained has evidence. The forbidden holds truth. And no amount of suppression can erase what's already been discovered.